to the Covered Podcast. I am your host, Maya Karen, and on this show, we discuss women and how we are showing up in the world. Today's guest, I am so excited. It is Jennifer Lord. She is the woman behind Regina King's most memorable hairstyle and most notably from the Met Gala of 2025. Jennifer uses her platform to push the narrative that all hair is beautiful. Jennifer's mission is to provide representation for all Afro hair types while fostering a community that provides integrity and excellence in textured hair designs and presentation. Jennifer's work has been featured in Vogue, GQ, The New York Times, and People magazine, just to name a few. Jennifer is an industry disruptor, hair designer, author, and founder of Natural Hollywood. Please welcome Jennifer Lord.
Hi, guys. And hi, Maya Karen.
Hello, hello, how are you?
Mm.
I have been wanting to have this conversation, and of course, we will get into Regina King. When she popped up on my feed, I said, yes, ma'am, absolutely. But to start from the beginning,
Okay.
when did you know that you had a love and a talent for hair, just in general?
I was really young. I was like, from my memories are from being a toddler, being
Okay.
in daycare, and being very attracted to young girls who had like a lot of hair, pigtails, braids, and twists. I would always just want to get my hands in there. And I know I got a lot of little girls in trouble because, we're told by our parents, like, don't let anyone touch your hair.
Yes.
And so I would be harassing those poor girls at like 3 years old. I can do it. I can twist it. I can braid it. I can do it just like your mom said, just like your mom did. She won't notice that I did it, just let me do it. So it was very young. And even when people would come to the house, family members, friends, depending on how your hair looked, I would just beeline get the brush and the comb, and my mom would be so apologetic, like, "Jennifer, stop. Leave them alone." And a lot of times, family members, like, shout out to my cousin Desalyn, she would let me play in her hair. And so at the time, I didn't realize that it was so important to me, but it was.
So it sounds like, because you said from like three, it sounds like this was a calling. You probably at that time you probably didn't know what the calling was going to be, but it sounded like it was innate. I mean, you're saying
Yeah.
three, and you were in little girl's hair.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I was uh dreaming about how to perfect a braid and a cornrow and before I got to like grade level school, and I would get up joyously and get my Barbie because I had figured it out, you know. And I would always stare at my cousins while they were doing hair and just be so immersed in the process because I loved it. Again, I didn't really understand what was happening. I just knew that when I was bored, I was going to do one or two things. I was going to play with my Barbie doll in her hair, or I was gonna draw. So the art was definitely innate from the very beginning.
Okay, so that's when you were young. High school. Did you have clients in high school?
Definitely.
Were the girls coming to you in high school?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, and I actually went to high school in a predominantly white area in the suburbs of upstate New York. So I was doing hair in middle school and high school for bar mitzvahs and proms. From since then, I was just working with my neighbors and people in my community. When they figured out I could do hair, they would hire me to do it.
Wow. Okay. And I know that it depends on like where you go to school. Some schools they have, I think it's called either technical school or vocational school.
Yeah.
Was your schools one of those ones where as a high school student, you could actually like your last semester, could you actually go to a cosmetology school and did you? No.
No.
Okay.
No, I
No.
did not. I wasn't aware of those type of programs. At the time, my parents were really adamant that I was going to go to college and I was going to become a lawyer. And I
Okay.
loved the reaction that everybody gave when I said, I'm going to be an attorney, I'm going to be a lawyer. So that was kind of where my mind was at. But hair was just a hobby to me. It was just something that I did because I like to do it and something that I did because it was a social opportunity as well. It's a great way to get to know people, a great way to connect with people. So I just would do it voluntarily. I never saw it as like a business opportunity or a lucrative thing. But my stepfather was one of the people who said, you should go into business for doing hair. And I was just like, wave them off because I thought once people start telling me what to do and I don't get to create freely, I'm not going to like it. So I was never interested in doing it as a business career. Obviously, later on, that changed. And then I had also grown up watching my dad cut hair. He's a barber. And I think you mentioned that your dad's a barber too,
He
right?
is. Yes, ma'am.
So, like, obviously, it's in our blood. When my dad loved doing hair too. That was just something he enjoyed. It was a social opportunity for him, and he has the same clients from age 13 that he has now. The difference is my dad was also an accountant. That was his career path. So he kept his barbering skills for his community and for his love and passion. It was never about the money. It was just about a service that he provided that he loved to do. So I think I made him proud because I took it one step further and I actually made it my career path.
Okay. So you spoke about it being a hobby, and and I heard you say that when someone tells you to do something, you're not going to do it. So you've graduated high school. Making hair a career is not really a thing right now. So were you kind of
No.
in limbo? Did you go to college? What did you go to college for?
I did go to college. I went to Morgan State University, HBCU,
Norfolk State.
Baltimore, Maryland. That's right. So proud of that. And I majored in political science. They didn't have a pre-law program, but my mom encouraged me to major in political science and then take it further and go to law school later. And I did, and I loved it. I loved my history classes. That's like my favorite. And I was still doing hair on campus.
Of course.
It
Of
was just the
course.
thing I was doing. And I remember meeting other students who were just like more streamlined and focused about what their career goals were. One of our colleagues, her name was Aisha, may she rest in peace. She passed away, unfortunately, but she was a hairstylist on campus too. And she was super stylish. And she told me she was going to school for business. I think we were like freshmen or sophomores. She was like, I'm getting my business degree and then I'm going to open up a salon and I'm going to be doing hair. And I was like, wow, like it just seemed so foreign to me to think in that way. I was just so focused on I've got to go to law school, I've got to go to law school. But it didn't happen. I ended up graduating, getting my political science degree, and I also had my son at the time, Jonathan. And when I graduated, I was pregnant with my daughter, Jalen. And so my focus was more about how do I raise these kids? How do I take
Yes.
care of them? I need
How do you
income.
provide?
And I decided to put law school on hold. And I remember doing an internship at the NAACP, and the attorney knew that I was pregnant. And she was like, that's not going to stop you. That's gonna propel you. Never forget that. I just didn't understand at the time that propelling and shifting careers was gonna look different than what I had imagined. I thought that I was kinda lost. I was actually lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had your son, you've had your daughter.
Yes.
NAACP mentor tells you it's not gonna do any.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. It's gonna propel you forward.
Yeah.
While you were doing that, was there something kind of like maybe eating at you, or you were thinking, you know what, I'm gonna make hair my career. This is what I'm going to be known for. Was there a moment when you said, you know what, I'm going in 100%? Take me to that moment.
I'll take you to the moment. So, right after college, I did get a job as a high school teacher. And as a high school teacher, I was approached by other administrators and teachers to run their modeling program. And I choreographed this fashion show for a high school. And that was when I realized how passionate I was about that area of the world. Beauty and fashion and hair and makeup got me excited. And that was always the thing that I loved to do, but I wasn't really allowed to celebrate it because it's kind of looked down upon,
It can be,
like
yes.
your family my parents are immigrants. They came from Grenada. They made it happen and they wanted me to have a title. They wanted me to have a particular career. No, a lot of people can relate to that. Parents who are from the motherland as well. It's like in our culture, You have to be a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or nothing.
Yes, my mother was
So,
Jamaican. Yes.
oh, so you know.
So we have mother and father. My mother was Jamaican. Yes.
So you already know, like,
Yes.
there's no other job option for you. Your title matters. It's like you bring shame to the family if you're anything less than that. But I did recognize that while I was a high school teacher, I didn't love the teaching aspect so much as I loved the modeling program that I worked with. So I did end up getting laid off and I was lost at that time, like I had mentioned earlier. But there were things that were happening that were clicking, that were showing me I needed to go on a different path. And one of them was going on an interview where a gentleman told me that my hair color wasn't professional and I should change it. And I did change it. And after I changed it, he fired me.
What color was it?
It was like a bright red.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was a bright red and it was like it was just at the top front and then the rest was black, and I had a lot of hair at the time, so he told me that it wasn't professional, and I just remember that feeling, trapped by the corporate standard and knowing that that wasn't a place for me. The fact that I actually changed my hair color for the job and then he let me go, let me know that, okay, this is not the path I want to go on. So it was like, wasn't a moment. I wish I could say it was a moment. It was more of little things happening here and there. I think I met somebody on a public transportation bus and they needed their hair done for the prom. I gave them a compliment about their hair and they were started telling me about their need to get their hair done for the prom. And I said, well, I can do it. And then I did it. And then another thing happened, and this is probably the most significant. I had went natural in 2000 because I had my son in 2000 and I didn't want to raise a child without me embracing my natural hair. I had already been influenced to go natural by Lauryn Hill and Erica Badu. I already understood that through my history classes that putting in a relaxer every 2 or 3 months into my hair was me kind of rejecting who I was physically and psychologically. I understood that. And I wanted to stand up to the pressures of society and just show up as myself with my natural hair. And once I got pregnant, it was like, I'm doing it. I'm not raising a kid to think that there's anything wrong with the way that God made them. So I went natural. So now I'm natural and now I want to get locks. And I ran into this woman named Natasha Jackson from Morgan State University. We had the same major, and she's shopping in a store that I'm working in at the time. And we're talking, and I'm like, "So where are you working? Where are you practicing law?" Because she was so phenomenal in class. I just knew she was going to be an attorney. She's like, "Oh, I'm not an attorney. I do hair." And I was just like, you do hair. Well, I want to do hair too. I don't have my license, but she's like, oh, you don't have to have a license in Baltimore to do natural hair. And it was another light went off. So now I want to get locks. I remember that I met her again and I'm like, let me call this salon and ask to make an appointment. She's like, well, I can't do your hair. I'm too booked, but my associate can do your hair. I make an appointment with this beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, dark skinned woman named Nika. Nika was a model. Like she was just everything. And I was like, oh, she's going to do my hair. And so she says, I tell her, I want to do hair too. You know, I'm getting my locks installed. I'm like, I really want to do hair too. She's like, well, why don't you? I'm like, oh, I'm just not sure. She's like, well, I'm moving to Atlanta, so you can have my job. And that's how it happened. She left to go to Atlanta. I interviewed with Natasha, showed her my pictures, and I got a job doing natural hair. It was just like that.
It was a whole bunch. I want to go back for a second. There were a whole bunch of seeds that were being planted. I want to go back to when you were teaching. You didn't care for the teaching, but you loved the modeling aspect.
Yeah.
Were you paid for choreographing that
No.
show? Okay. And I was asking because I was getting ready to say, well, you know what? That would have been a seed or an idea to say, hey, this can actually be a living for me. It's like, this can actually be my livelihood. That's what I was going to say if you were paid for it.
I
So,
think, you know what? Now that I think about it, I think they did give us a small stipend of maybe like
okay.
$200 or something like that. But no, it wasn't like a, it wasn't like
livable wage. It wasn't
No,
something
it
that you
was like a
could.
little
Okay.
extra something.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
So they've given you've interviewed, they've given you the job. So at this point in time, you're working with natural hair, but you were not licensed, right?
Right, but I had already went to cosmetology school, and I know that you might want to talk about that too.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's run it. Let's run it back then,
Okay,
because I thought that that was going to be. That's the reason why you went was to be licensed. So let's go back.
okay.
um, Cosmetology school. When did that happen?
That happened when I went on interview after interview and I wasn't getting employed. So I'm
Okay.
thinking, I have a degree, I'm going to get work. It's going to be easy. I'm going on interview after interview. I'm not getting employed. I'm losing my mind because I don't have money and I have two kids and now I'm a single mom because I've left their dad. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And I just started having opportunities to do people's hair and I just noticed that the money that I was making doing hair in a few hours was more than the money that I would make on a job working 8 hours.
Yes.
So things started to show themselves in a way where I was getting like little inklings that maybe I need to go in this direction. So I met a couple, they helped me make a business card and I started passing my business card out. I went to the Jacob Javits Hair Show, IBS, in New York City. I bought a chair, I bought a dryer, and I put it in my apartment. And guess what happened? The apartment inspected, saw that saw that equipment out in the living room and threatened to evict me. I continued to do hair. They inspected me again and I got kicked out of my apartment. So now I have to find a place to live. I find a place to live and I'm in another area. So it's like things are just always shifting and moving in a direction where I need to make moves. But I will also say that in the same at the same time that I'm being evicted, I'm also in hair school. I decided that if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. I want to be licensed. I very much value education. I've always valued education. My parents instilled it in me that knowledge is power. And I wanted to have a license in order to do hair, but I'm natural and I know that doing a relaxer is not going to be the way that I want to go about it. But I'm not familiar with the natural hair community yet. So I'm in hair school, knowing I want a license, but not sure how I'm going to maneuver because I know I don't want to do certain services. And I'm in a predominantly Black inner city cosmetology school, the Baltimore Studio of Hair Design. There's only one white student in that entire class that I'm in. And there's four classes. There's just one white student in all of the classes. So I'm in school and I'm being taught to pretty much hate my hair in its natural state. My educator, I remember him saying, "What are you going to do if your client comes in with that nappy hair?" In this raspy voice, and he would say it with such disgust. And I would always challenge him. I'd raise my hand. I'd be like, "What do you mean why do you say nappy like that? Like, why do you talk about our texture like it's so bad?" And he would just say, "Well, that's not the standard. People aren't getting their hair done that way." And I'm like, "Well, that's changing. This is the onset of the natural hair care movement." So I'm feeling like I'm not in an environment that's celebrating my Black beauty. And it's a problem for me because I'm surrounded with Black people and I know what he's saying. It's conditioning them and they're going to go on to do hair and they're going to have these opinions and these ideas about who they are and the hair that they're working on. And this is problematic. So I created a petition. I found a Black mannequin with textured hair that I thought we should be able to work on so that we would have the variation of textures within the classroom. And shortly after that the petition and the controversy, because it woke people up, it was a big conversation piece. Some of them were rolling their eyes about it, but a lot of people were intrigued. And even more people were like, yeah, she's right. You know? So this white owned school found a moment in my contract that said I had to pay a certain amount of money by the next day because I had missed however many days of school. And if I didn't come up with this money by the next day, I wouldn't um I wouldn't be able to return. And I had done over 1,100 hours of the 1,200 required hours. to graduate. So they kicked me out right before I graduated. They found a loophole in the contract. I didn't have the money to give them by the next day. And that was their way of like dealing with this problematic political student. And I was defeated in that moment. I was, but I ended up working in retail for a bit. And that's when I met Natasha Jackson. And that's when she explained to me that I didn't need a license to do natural hair at the time in Baltimore. And so that was my in, that was my way out. And everything changed when I started doing natural hair. I got my confidence back, my self esteem back, my financial freedom. I was able to travel. I just knew that there was more, and I always wanted to go far. I wanted to do the most. I wasn't interested in just working in a salon. Not that that wasn't amazing, because it is, and I'm grateful, but I wanted more than that. And I knew that.
So it's a white-owned salon, but it's predominantly black
White owned cosmetology school.
cosmetology school.
Yes.
And then so even the instructors, and I heard you talk about the man with the raspy voice. Even the instructors were black.
All of the instructors were black.
Now, and I want to go to this because it was in your post and you talked about basically experience. And of course, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And it just basically said, and basically what you said when it comes to natural hair is that there was someone who was doing the hair. She didn't have the expertise, but you were questioning why, like, for instance, a precision cut or maybe coloring, there was an expert brought in. But since the person who was teaching the class was inexperienced on natural hair, you were questioning why someone wasn't brought in.
Yes. So that's now, what, 20 something years later, because I was in cosmetology school in 2002 or 2003. And then I went back to cosmetology school at Arojo in 2019.
And
Because,
that what I'm referring to is from 2019.
yeah, so from
Wow.
2019, there was a diverse group of students. We had Black people, we had white people, we had Asian people, we had, you know, Latinos, Latinas, um, and the school was still owned by Arojo, and the school was tailored to white hair, every single service. So deep conditioning, coloring, styling, because what people don't know is a cosmetology school is it's a way to get, it's a pipeline to get hairstylists to work in the salon as well,
Yes.
depending on the school that you go to. Um, they make their money not only from the students, but they also make their money from the customers that come in and pay maybe a little bit less for those services, knowing that they're working with the student.
Yes.
So after you graduate, they don't just want you to go out and make someone else money. A lot of times they want you to stay in their salon, and they want you to provide those services that you've learned and those techniques in their salon. So every single school has very clear strategies on what they want to provide, what services they want to provide. And when you're in the inner cities and you're in a Black community, they're going to accommodate and provide services for Black hair. It's just that in the cosmetology school book, it is highly recommended that people who have texture relax their hair. So
Ah,
even when you're
okay.
servicing the Black community, you're still removing their texture. There's only now, since 2014, a chapter introduced by Diane C. Bailey and other natural hair pioneers to provide care for natural hair. One chapter out of 31 chapters in the Milady Hair Standard textbook. One.
To care for natural hair in its natural state.
In its natural state,
Okay.
doing braids, locks, twists, bantu knots, etc. Detangling products, blow drying, how the hair works with moisture, what's porous, what's not. That information is available in one chapter that was introduced into the Milady Standard book in 2014. Outside of that, the only place that you can get natural hair education is through a natural hair care license. Yes.
So that's 2014. Okay.
Yes. 2014, one chapter was introduced. So now I'm in school in 2019 after being kicked out in 2002. And I'm excited about the one chapter. I'm
Right.
excited.
And it doesn't happen, or it wasn't going to
It
happen.
wasn't going to happen because I was watching the teacher talk, go from one chapter to the next and skipping the natural hair texture. And so I was like, what about this chapter? Are you guys going to skip it? And she ran out the room because I confronted her, and she was a Black woman and she didn't know how to address this because she wasn't prepared, because it wasn't a part of the curriculum and it wasn't a lesson and it wasn't included. There was no inclusivity of this chapter. Even though it's in the book, the school doesn't have to teach it.
Okay. That okay. Is that a misconception? So you said it's the Milady book.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's in the textbook,
Yes.
I think most people assume that it's in the textbook. You're all going to go through it in cosmetology school chapter by chapter by
Yes.
chapter. That's not required? You don't. Okay.
Every school has the right to choose what chapters they want to work with based on what their business plan is, what their school
Okay.
structure is. It's now, this is why we have the Crown Act. This is why we have laws that we're putting in place, that we're fighting for, that are still being rejected, to have inclusivity. Because yes, the chapter is there. It's only one chapter, but it's there. But schools are still electing to skip it. So now only eight
Yes.
states are mandated in cosmetology schools to teach that chapter.
Yes. And then also, I believe it's in New York. It's actually now going to be on the state board, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you have to prove proficient at least.
Yes.
Okay. So you graduate cosmetology school, you obtain your license.
I did get my license in
Okay.
2019. Yes.
Okay. Did you then have to seek education elsewhere to further your knowledge when it came to natural hair?
Well, no, because even though I didn't get my license in 2002, I met Natasha Jackson and I started in working at an eclectic natural hair gallery as a natural hairstylist. So I worked at an eclectic for a year and 3 months, and then I opened up my own salon studio in my home called Naturally Me.
Right.
And I had that studio for 8 years.
Naturally me?
Naturally Me.
Okay.
I
That
had
was
it
in
for 8 years.
2005. Was that 2005?
It's hard for me to remember the year. I think it was 2005,
Okay. Okay.
or yeah, maybe 2005 to 2013. That adds up to 8 years. Exactly.
Okay.
2005, I opened up.
Okay. So naturally me, you started in your home. Did you eventually move to a brick and mortar?
I never moved to a brick and mortar
Okay.
because I was a single mom and my kids were very active in dance class and soccer, and I was doing talent shows in their schools, and just a very, very active mom. And by having my own business and in my own studio, I could do hair while my kids were safe at home. And so it just made sense for me to continue to work from home. And my clients loved the work that I provided, and they always came back, and it became like, I don't want to say family, but it was familial in that they took care of me and they knew I was taking care of my family. So they worked around my schedule, and and it allowed me as a business owner to go to the after school programs and pick up my kids and set my appointments up in a way where I could do all the things that I needed to do as a mom, but I could also accommodate my clientele. And it was by appointment only. So they loved it because they got this exclusive treatment.
Okay. So when you opened up Naturally Me, what was your purpose in the beginning? What was your purpose, or what was the intention behind it? I know you wanted women to feel beautiful.
Yeah.
Was it to help cultivate that relationship with their natural hair, or you were just, what were the girls wanting you to do? Was it braids? Was it relaxers? Was it natural hair? What was it?
Before I even opened up Naturally Me, remember when I was telling you I was doing it illegally in my apartment, I did have this
Yes.
one client who was asking me to do a relaxer. And I wasn't comfortable with it, but I was also in survival mode. So
Right.
I accommodated her. And I noticed breakage and I noticed damage in her hair. and I just completely shut it down. I was like, "I don't wanna do relaxers anymore." So she was like, "So you're not gonna take care of my hair anymore?" And I was like, "If you let me, I would like to get you to be natural. I'd like to help you on your journey."
What was her reaction?
She was open to it. I was
Okay.
able to convince her that I could get her to be cute without a relaxer, and she liked it.
We know that's a part of the struggle,
Absolutely, it's a
especially when you're in the
journey.
awkward phase.
It's a journey. So I would probably say that that was the one client that I did a relaxer on, and I got her off the relaxer into her natural state. And I believe she's still natural today. And there were other people, other friends, like my girlfriend Jewel. I remember her, holding on to this relaxed ends. And I was like, this beautiful mane of hair with these strings on the end. I'm done with you. I'm cutting this off. And so I would say that definitely making women feel beautiful and celebrating their natural beauty, celebrating their natural hair. That was a big push for me, like the self-esteem builder. When I went natural in 2000, my self-esteem went through the roof. And when you experience that kind of empowerment, you want to spread it. You want to share the gift. It's like, oh my God, nobody can tell me nothing. Let me tell you, girl. Let me put you on game. So I did have a great time. It's very powerful when women come into your salon or studio and they're in whatever mood, and then you do their hair and they just turn into and transform into another person. It's so magnetic and so powerful. So I got wonderful, wonderful treatment from my clients. They took very good care of me and Naturally Me in Baltimore. It was an exchange. I gave them my love and care on their tresses, but they in return took care of me and my family and made me feel loved as well. So it was a beautiful exchange. It was a healthy thing. It was just dynamically perfect. I have nothing bad to say about it.
So one thing I do want to ask you is corporate and were any of your clients a part of corporate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's kind of this conversation about what is professional and what is tidy, just like your experience with your boss. He told you about your hair, you fixed it, and then he let you go. For the women who were coming to you and they were in corporate,
Hmm.
there's like this discussion about being natural, being a straight natural. The women who
Yeah.
were coming to you for corporate, did you find that they were more so wearing their hair as a heat trained natural? Were they wearing twists, braids? What was the confidence? What was the conversation about that? Did your clients who were in corporate feel comfortable going into their office confidently with their natural hair?
I think that's why they were coming to me specifically, was because they wanted to be fly and they wanted to feel professional, and that's what they got. They got a beautiful hairstyle. Now there were definitely some that had these ambitions and ideas about how they wanted to do their hair, let's say for a vacation or for a wedding, and then go return and, still maintain their job and their presentation at their jobs, right? And I would come up with ideas and then be like, girl, I'm in corporate. I can't go to work with my weave this week and then the next week with my short look. And I was like, why not? And what I understood was that it wasn't that they were ashamed. It was mostly that they didn't want to be a distraction.
Ah, okay. They didn't
And
want their hair to be a topic of discussion. They were at work, they wanted to work.
yes.
Okay, okay.
So
I
how
can
did I
understand
address
that.
that? I just had to explain to my clients, and to this day, that's just what it means to be Black. Like, my hair is not going to be the same every day. It's just not, because I'm a Black woman and I have texture. And that's just one of the beautiful riches of me and the privileges of me being a Black, beautiful woman. I can change my hair every day and it can look different every day. And I think that that should be celebrated. And I think that we should be comfortable and confident to say yes and keep walking and doing our job. Thank you. And keep moving along. You know what I'm saying? Because I think all hair is beautiful. I really do. And when I see my counterparts, my colleagues with their hair in a straight state, and they decide to, get a haircut, I comment on it. Oh my God, you got your haircut. I like it. It's cute. Thank you. And we keep moving. Just so happens that my hair is probably going to change more frequently than that person who got that bob. And so there's going to be more of a conversation. I don't have to go into it. That's my decision. If you want to, go ahead. Keep talking about it. But if you don't want to, thank you. Keep it moving. I think it's celebratory that I can change my hair every day. I want to change my hair every day. I want to change my lipstick every day. I want to change my shoes every day. What's the problem?
There is no problem. I mean, I had this conversation on my channel a lot. Just like with your hairstyle now, I could do this hairstyle tomorrow and it's going to look different because my hair is textured. It's the same hands, same bobby pins, same technique. It's going to look different
It's
every
gonna look
single
different.
day. Every single day. What is one misconception about afro textured hair?
That is difficult.
Oh, that's a loaded statement.
Yeah. It's difficult if you don't know how to do it and you haven't
Yes.
been trained and you don't have the dexterity. But more importantly, it's difficult if you don't have the respect and the love and the passion for it. We have been taught historically that our hair is bad. And when people try to deny that, I'm just like, where did the term good hair come from? Why do you get triggered when you hear the term nappy? It's because it's by design. Our hair was shaved when we got off the slave ship. When we got on the slave ship, they shaved our hair to remove our identity and our pride and to humble us and to make us literally property that made them money. And that was a huge part of who we were. We spent days and weeks cultivating and designing these hairstyles to show off who we were. We had nothing but pride in who we were. You know, I saw a post. I can't remember the lady's name. I think her name is Ashley. She did this whole post saying that people come and bully her on her hair because she talks a lot about issues in the Black community, things that are happening and that are racial. And she's extremely intelligent and she's very, very beautiful and polished. And her hair is usually straightened, and sometimes I think she adds pieces. And people bully her about it, saying that you don't even like yourself, you don't even like your hair, which
I
I do
saw it.
not agree with that. I do think
I
that
saw
there
it.
is a huge conversation happening about the policing of Black women's hair, and I
Yes.
understand it. Don't tell me what to do. Absolutely, don't tell me what to do. But you're not gonna gaslight me and skip over why we choose to do our hair in straighter textures. Why
Yes.
do we choose
Yes.
to put on things that look absolutely nothing like our hair? And why do we also feel more beautiful when we
Yes.
do that? Is that because it's actually more beautiful, or is it because of what everyone has been brainwashed to think, which is that white supremacy is where it's at? Everything that is in proximity to whiteness is hailed and exhaled. And it's just like, that's the beautiful thing. And everything after that is treated like it's less than. So we have to, it's like, it's revolutionary for me to show up as myself. It's like a revolution that I actually like my hair and I'm wearing texture. And I just think that there's no way that only one type of hair is beautiful. And I think when it comes to Black women wanting to have freedom to do whatever they want, they absolutely deserve that. I just want them to dissect why they're choosing to do something that is opposite to what their hair is, because yes, get the extensions, get the volume, get the density, celebrate your natural hair texture and do the things that make you feel beautiful. But when you're constantly hiding something and then you are talking badly about it, oh, I don't have good hair like you. My hair don't do that. Oh, my hair doesn't grow. Oh, my hair is nappy, girl. I got that 4Z hair. When you're saying those things, what you're doing is saying that what you have isn't beautiful. And it's just not true. You're not going to convince me that what you have and the way that God made you is not the most beautiful. It is. Now, if you want to throw on other things to play other characters and to be different, go ahead. But always love up on yourself and treat yourself the with the most highest regard. So that means like if you look at the ancestors and how they did their hair, they did everything. Our styles were prolific and unlimited. They did
Elaborate, yes.
everything. And guess what? They always had their edges because they were never trying to lay them down to look European and to look sleek and to look shiny. They celebrated their texture. They weren't trying to mimic images of Europeans ever, ever. They were always doing, we had 60 million different styles for one tribe, okay? And they always had their hair. That type of alopecia wasn't a thing back in those days because we loved our hair and we celebrated it with the styles that we did. While we're experiencing so many challenges around our hair has a lot to do with some of the work that we're doing on it. Some of the styles that we're creating are creating alopecia because we're trying to slick it and lay it and sleek it, and we're ignoring the signals and the pain, and then we're losing our hair. And I know this is like just a fraction of the conversation, and I want to say again, I celebrate our freedom and our ability and our desires to do different things with different textures. I'm just encouraging women to also embrace their natural beauty and know that that's when they are the most beautiful. It is. It's just so pretty. All the textures are so stunning.
Yes, my community, that is a hill that I will die on. But since you talked about alopecia, and just the damage that we are doing to our hair, there's another conversation that's going on. In your opinion, you've been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah.
In your opinion, is there a difference between hair care and hair styling?
I think they should be together.
Okay.
You know, I think there is a difference between hair care and hair styling, but I think you should be able to care for hair and still make it look beautiful. You know, like if you look at my hair, I didn't sleek up my edges,
You can't even see him. Why?
like look, it's just there. And no shade to edges. Like no shade to the beautiful artistry and the swirly whirlies. I love that too. I think it's about loving it all and embracing it all. I think hairstyling and hair care should go together. I
Okay.
don't think that our hair should be sacrificed for a style. I remember like if my ponytail did not hurt me, it didn't look good. That's how I felt back in the day when I didn't know better. It had to hurt a little bit. It had to be tight. It had to be snatched. I needed to give myself a facelift. And I know I know y'all know what I'm talking
Oh,
about,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I used to do my top knot in the beginning, it had to be tight. It had to be. Because
Absolutely.
I mean, it was secure, it was neat,
Yes.
it was
That
tidy.
meant it was and I think that comes from trauma and from surviving, you know, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, like everyone was getting a press and curl. Before the relaxer was invented, we were still straightening our hair because we were in survival mode. We
Yes.
were not getting into any workplace with our afro, you know? And then when you finally got in, it was still okay. Am I going to get the promotion? I will never forget. I went to Towson University to speak on a panel about professionalism in the workplace. And a Black woman told the entire student body that attended that you might get a job with your natural hair, but you're not going to be an executive. I was flabbergasted. I said, no, she didn't. But she did because in our mind, it's just like with Michelle Obama. Michelle said they didn't even want me in the White House. I wasn't going to give them my hair too. You see what I'm saying? It's like we are literally programmed like, okay, what battle am I going to choose? I don't I want ease. I want to just get in and do my job and get money and have my upper mobility, right? So I am going to choose to relax my hair or to wear this wig or to do the things so they can be relaxed, so we can all be comfortable and I can just do my job. It's survival, legit. And I understand it. I understand why we choose to make those things easier for us. We have choices and we can make it easier. But unfortunately, it just does another type of damage because now you can't even take it off. You don't feel as beautiful without it, or you've done so much damage underneath that you're not confident without it. So there's a very thin line between doing things to survive and to and there's a very easy way to just say, "Hey, I just want to do what I want, leave me alone." Yes, absolutely, but hair care is a part of a hairstylist and hairstylist responsibility. We are going to all the things, whether we're going to the spa to take care of our skin, or whether we're drinking water, whether we're taking our supplements, eating our vegetables. And I'm not perfect in any of those areas. I'm not. And I'm not sitting here trying to judge people. But I do recognize that there is a very empowering feeling that I get when I'm able to look at myself without makeup, without my hair done, and still love up on myself with all my imperfections and flaws. There's something really powerful about that level of confidence. And I think it's beautiful to be able to enhance our beauty with these different things, whether it's our clothes, our makeup, our nails, and all that, and our hair, especially. But I think when we start to get so far away from our own textures, and when our hairstylists are repeatedly doing services while acknowledging and not even acknowledging, while observing the traction alopecia, the hair thinning. Like there are stylists who do services where they take your old weave or wig out, they wash and condition your hair, they take the braids down, they wash and condition your hair, they do a beautiful deep conditioning, they do a beautiful trim, and you've got this abundant, beautiful hair. However, the hair leave out part, not healthy. And you're seeing like the leave out thinning, breaking, because you're putting heat to it to make it blend. And you're not going to say, you know what, let's switch it up. Let's do something different. That's exactly what our hair needs. It needs to do different things. It can't just do one thing. If you keep snatching it back into a ponytail, it's going to be affected by that. If you keep leaving it out, it's going to be affected by that. We have to switch it up. So, a hairstylist's job is to identify what your hair care needs are while accommodating your lifestyle and making you cute. It all comes together. We got to do all of it.
Don't forget the cute part. Don't forget the
Never
fabulous
forget the
part.
cute part.
Okay. Let's move to runways and sets. And of course, we're going to get to the Met Gala. How were you introduced to the sets and to the runways? How did you get into that?
How did I get into it? I think it was always a dream of mine.
Okay. Did
I grew
someone
up.
approach you? Did you reach out?
Oh, wow. Oh, I remember there was a Milky Way advertisement at a beauty supply store, and it said that you could enter to be on the stage and present your hair. Um,
Milky Way, like the candy bar?
no, Milky Way is like a hair company
Oh,
that
okay.
that like made hair, like put it on wefts and sold it. And I think they did braiding hair too. I can't remember. I think they still exist, Milky Way. But yeah, they were hosting this hair show, and um I had just entered the hair scene. Like I was just starting to work at an eclectic natural hair gallery, and I just happened to see this thing, and I was just like, I want to do it. Child, I didn't have $2 to be doing this show, but I still somehow gathered models and did their hair. I remember I got really sick the night before. I had a
Oh
really
no.
bad cough. I was exhausted because I wasn't sleeping. I was just working on doing hair and pulling this off. I hired this contractor to build like a screen because I wanted them to be dancing behind the screen and then come out and do their walk. Lord have mercy.
Oh, this was a production.
This is the natural Hollywood production before the natural Hollywood part. So that was my first show. And I remember just prepping the models behind the scenes and seeing, I don't remember, I think his name is called Derek. He is on like Housewives of Atlanta. He's a hairstylist to the stars.
Darren or Derek? Yes, I
Derek.
believe.
Yes, he was there.
Oh, okay.
He was there and he did this elaborate hairstyle on just one model. And I learned, sometimes less is more. He had one model, but he did something magnificent and he won. And I
Oh,
remember introducing myself and just saying how impressed I was, and just kind of seeing like what it was in behind the scenes of a fashion show, hair show, like how big it was, and how I had these ideas that seemed so great. But I've heard someone say in the past, sometimes it takes a while for your work to catch up to your taste level.
mm,
Because as artists, we have these ideas in our heads and these visions, and when we bring them to life, we want them to be as good or even better than what we envisioned.
yes.
And when they're not, we're just like, that ain't it. And so in my mind, these hairstyles were so great, but when they all came together, I felt like I had missed a mark. So I was feeling a little down, but this judge came up to me. One of the judges said, "You are raw talent. You have a lot of potential. I see you. When you're doing something like this, I need you to step your game up. Like, look at this. This is magnificent. Tighten it up. This should be perfect. This should be polished. This should be neater." And they gave me, I don't remember who this judge was, but this gentleman he empowered me to uh to keep going and to keep working on my craft. And that was the very beginning. That was my first show, my Milky Way hair show.
That was the very first show. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in this space and you're getting invited to sets, you're getting invited to runways. When we're talking about a black man or a black woman, whether they're relaxed, whether they're natural, whether they have to have a wig, weaves, or extensions, was there talk or was there emphasis on these individuals or these talents showing up with their natural hair?
Hmm.
Was it kind of like an afterthought? Are we just going to slap a wig on it? What was the attitude behind set or behind the runway?
Well, I want to say first, I wasn't getting invited at first.
Okay.
And because I wasn't getting invited, I didn't really know what that meant. Like, how do you get invited? So I just started doing my own productions.
Okay.
And I figured, you know what? I'm going to do it until someone discovers me. And one day I think someone connected me to someone who was doing a show in New York Fashion Week. So at this time, I don't really know much about New York Fashion Week. I mean, I'm originally from New York and I watched some Sex in the City, so I had an idea, but I didn't really when you say New York Fashion Week, it's like full stop. It's fire, whatever it is. You don't realize that there's all kinds of productions on all kinds of levels doing
Yes.
fashion shows.
Yes.
Everyone's trying to make it. So, there's New York Fashion Week with Chanel, and then there's New York Fashion Week with like up and coming designers who are just getting their feet wet and everything in between, right? It's all kinds. So this particular company was inviting hairstylists to come and do the hair for up and coming designers. And all I could hear was New York Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, New York Fashion. So I was done. I was so excited to be going. I remember I was doing someone's hair when I got the call, and I'm just feeling so great because I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to do this hair. Okay. A lot was going on at the time, and I don't feel like I was super prepared in terms of my presentation. And when I got there, I went to the first chair available, which was in the back, and I was all the way in the back. There were 2 days of designing, 2 days of styling. And so I opened up my vintage caboodle, and I remember the hairstylists around me had these really fancy, polished, gorgeous kits. They had all the fancy brushes, they had all the stuff. I mean, it just looked so good. And they looked at my caboodle and my little regular kit, and they started throwing shade about, "You gotta be ready, you know, you gotta look the part to be the part." They were saying all kinds of little snarky things, okay? And I was feeling a bit insecure, but then it was time to style the hair,
Hmm. Mm.
okay?
Please tell
One
us.
thing
Do
about
tell.
me, my Karen, you could give me a brush and some Vaseline, and you're coming out looking great. So after a while, it got real quiet back there because I was getting those models in and out. And not only that, there were a lot of people that were natural and people were throwing up their hands like, I don't know what to do. So I started to speak up. I can do natural hair. They'd be like, we got a natural hair model, and I throw my hand up. I can do it. I can do it. And they wanted sleek hairstyles. They wanted their hair pulled back. They wanted chignons. They wanted braids. They wanted all the things. And I was able to do it on the natural hair model because every designer that is presenting for some shows has a vision of how they want their models to look. Some of them want all the models to look identical. Some of them want models to look a certain way based on what they're wearing. And so they had a very clear vision. And the hairstylists, most of them couldn't do it. Most of them could not work with texture. They just didn't have the tools, they didn't have the skill, they didn't know, and it was just so rewarding because I was at first humiliated for not looking the part, but then my skill set showed, and I knew, like, eventually I'm gonna get the money, I'm gonna get the kit, and I'll be able to do that whole thing, but at the end of the day, like you said, it's innate. I was born to do this, and the next day, the head of the hair department said, "No, I need you in the front." And she pulled me to the front because she knew that I was going to get those girls done and I was going to get them done quickly. And with a lot of the other stylists, they would need so much assistance or there would be time wasted because they would try to pretend like they knew how to do it and then they couldn't. And then they'd have to either surrender or someone would say, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to let such and such do it. So, there's something to be said about knowing how to do all textures. It is a game changer for you. And I think that this is an industry that is not going anywhere. We need to have everyone in the room who can do it. And it shouldn't just be about you hiring your friends or who you know. You should also have integrity about how you want the models to look that represent the designers. Okay, so going overseas is a dream come true too. And remember earlier you were like, so you were getting invited? No, I was kicking doors down. I would hear about things that were happening. Like in Paris, France, they had the Natural Hair Academy. And I remember reaching out, asking one of the stylists if I could be a part of it. And they, dropped my name. And initially it was like, well, we can't afford to fly her out and do all of that. And I was just so hungry and passionate to do natural hair on the runway. You don't really see natural hair on the runway even now. Like it's much better. We see cornrows and things like that. But it's still you still have a long way to go in terms of showing how our hair can be manipulated and celebrated in those spaces. Still have some work to do there. And so at the time, it was just like, let's show off how texture can just transform and elevate these looks. So I said, you don't have to fly me out. You don't have to put me up. I flew myself out. I put myself up. One of the stylists there who was already involved with the showcase helped me with selecting of models. I got their sizes. I bought all their outfits. When I got there the day before, I fitted them for all their outfits, and then we divided them up for the showcase. And That showcase was was just like an add-on to one of the stylist platform presentations. Um, but it became like the most talked about, most viral moment of the show. This was not something they had done before. This is something that I introduced to them, and it was just so popular, and it was just such a game changer for the showcase that they did it again the next year. But I was not invited, and that's when I learned about, integrity and contracts and, you know, the importance of really like understanding that this industry is not very kind. And they talk about sisterhood and supporting Black owned businesses and all of that. But ultimately, it's still very competitive. And so they took the platform and they gave it to someone else. And I really struggled to believe that that had happened because I sacrificed so much to go there. But I still, you know, celebrate the fact that I did go to Paris for the first time and did a show. Same thing when I went to California. It was my first time going to California, and I cultivated and choreographed a fashion show for all the designers of the showcase. So that's how I've been able to, create memories and moments and just, introduce what natural hair can look like on the runway.
Were the people overseas more receptive or more willing to learn natural hair when it came to being behind the sets, or did you kind of see it was like the same from like here to the States and overseas?
No, I think in that community, yes, but I think in general, no. I would say that New York is, to me, like that nucleus in terms of like setting trends. And then it kind of spreads in the States, and then the States spread out internationally. Um, there's a long way to go when it comes to the natural hair community, but I would definitely say that the States is the first place that it happens, and then it travels out. Um, that particularly the natural hair care movement really made its mark first here, and then it spread all over. Um, in terms of it being like more commercial, more celebrated, and having an impact in our economy and in our industry, where people are no longer making relaxers because it's not lucrative, and they're making natural hair care products. I mean, companies like Mazzani, they built their empire on making relaxers and products to take care of your hair with that. They completely transitioned into a natural hair product line. Um, a lot of other companies made their profit off of natural hair care, like Carol's Daughter, Miss Jessie's. I could go on and on. There was just so many natural hair companies that were a force and influence on how we wore our hair. And then it carried over into other states and other countries, like in France, like in countries in Europe, countries in Africa. It really did start here. I think that there's always been natural hair all over the world, all over the diaspora, but in terms of the celebration of it, the education around it, the products and stuff like that. Even I went to London last year to visit all my cousins, and they were like, "We don't have access to these hair products." And when we went online, when we went to see like how much it would cost for them to get one of the products that I had used, it was like 200 pounds for a 30 something dollar product. So there is a hunger for it, but there isn't always accessibility. So I think those who are interested and invested are growing. There's like little pockets and little nucleuses that are like spreading, but like in general, there's still like a huge gap in terms of hair care and hair accessibility when it comes to natural hair textures and products and even hairstyling. Some of the most insane hairstylists are in Paris, in France. There's a woman named Sephora Johannes. There's a woman in England named Angela Plummer. These pioneers are beyond in terms of the skills and the things that they create and do. Um, but they're like, again, the nucleus. it's not everywhere, it's not everyone.
Okay. So when you are on these sets, like with the runway, and we'll get to the shows as well. And I'm pretty sure you've been asked this question many times, and there was just another young lady who went viral. You are a black woman, you are a black cosmetologist. Were your counterparts expected to know how to care for natural hair? For lack of better terms, did you find yourself as a token? Okay, you have someone sit in the chair, she has textured hair, send them to Jennifer. I'll take her, but send her to Jennifer. Were they expected to have the same knowledge that you had?
Definitely not.
Okay.
No, I think, again, the standard of beauty is white. And knowing how to do that kind of hair is been acceptable for them for a very, very long time. Um, and if you think about it, let's just talk about Hollywood and when we were making movies. How long ago was that? We weren't even allowed to be in front of the camera, let alone be behind the camera. And many times when we were in front of the camera, we didn't get representation behind the camera. I think there was a huge shift in 2020 with the murder of George Floyd. You know, there was a moment in history where the companies and productions and Hollywood and the like made a performative effort to listen to our stories. Um, it was COVID, everyone was home, everyone saw him killed, and there was a conversation that was viral and the topic at hand. And so all these companies pledged to do DEI, which is a diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? Where we're going to listen when you say that you need a hairstylist that has background and texture. A lot of other talent, actors and actresses, were using their voice before, but even more so then, that this is what I need. I need a texture expert who knows how to work with my hair to create these looks, to put the cornrows under the wig, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of the actors were also expressing the disparity. you know, their counterparts who were white with straight hair could come in, sit down, get their pin curls put in, and get their wig put on, and there was no issue. But they wouldn't have someone to do their cornrows to put them under the wig. They were expected to go out and get that done on their own or do it themselves. So these conversations were coming out by the millions. I mean, there were so many stories specifically coming from actors about what they experience behind the scenes because of their hair texture and their hair type. Um, there's a lot of stories where they talk about coming into a set and the hairstylist, the professionals looking at their hair and saying, "Oh, I love your hair. It's perfect. You're done." And just not getting any service because they simply didn't want to or didn't know how, and that was their way out. And it happens so often that that's not it's not that my hair is great for this part, it's that you don't want to be bothered. You're not giving me the same attention that you're giving the others. That's a problem. So when it's interesting to see because when people there's an expectation that when you're black that you have to know how to do everything. It's like the black tax that we've always been taught about, having to be twice as good. I have to know how to do everything, but the other
You won't
stylists
get
don't.
hired.
Yeah, but the
To
other
even get your
stylists
foot
don't.
in the door, you have to know everything.
And I do. And if I don't know everything, they will create the narrative that I am a DEI hire, that I don't deserve to be there, that I was only given the position because I'm black and because it's some type of favor. It's not because of my talent is valuable oftentimes. People get really threatened when they see black people stepping into spaces. This is just a reality. It makes people uncomfortable when you say it, but it's true. It's like, well, why is she here? Because there's an entitlement that we're not supposed to be in certain spaces. It's a very gatekeepy industry. And that's why I call myself a disruptor because a lot of people know that, but they won't say it. I'll say it. It is a gatekeepy industry. People do hire their friends and people that they know, and people will hire people without having knowledge of how to do the work just so that they can get the money. Period. That's it. Like, you're my friend, I'm hooking you up, regardless of the fact that you know how to do it.
Question for you, because I've heard and people have been having this conversation for a while. Don't quote me on the year, but I believe it was Essence. They did an article talking about this. Fashion shoots, movie sets, and of course they gave the examples, and people were always asking the questions, why is it that black women, specifically their hair, doesn't always look the best when they're on a movie set? And they gave a couple of reasons, and you did say a couple of them. They'll sit in the chair and they'll say, hey, your hair looks fine. Next, they don't know what to do. But one of the other things that they did point to, and I just want to know if it's true or if you have experienced this,
Yeah.
who's really popular right now, Coco Jones or Kiki Palmer.
Yeah.
They come to set. Is it true that they are not allowed to bring their entourage? And that could include a hairstylist. They have to use, they either have to do their own hair or they have to use a stylist that I guess is contracted to be on that set.
Yeah, it's a money thing, right?
Okay.
Like, it costs more money for you to have a personal. So, depending on how they want to do things and how the money is being spent, they may not give you that opportunity. Uh, if you're Beyonce, you're getting who you want, right?
Right.
But
You're beyond,
there,
yes.
it's not the same for everybody. Depending on the production and how they are just dividing up their finances. So what will happen is a lot of times the talent will show up and be open to a team of people that are professional enough to do it and give them an opportunity. But really, what I think happens, which is unfortunate, is that a lot of the hair and makeup teams don't have diversity within their team, right? So, you know, there always are exceptions where you can have a team that doesn't have diversity and they really do know how to do the thing. But that's not the standard. That's just not the rule. Those are exceptions where you know how to do it all. Um, Most people, and I'm talking across the board, all races and genders, have things that they're stronger at. And what you want to do is create a diverse team that has strengths in areas where the other one doesn't, so that it just becomes a cohesive, monumental team. It just so happens that because of our history with race, that our hair was demonized, criminalized, and weaponized. So there's a lot less people that know how to do texture because it wasn't celebrated, honored, valued. It wasn't allowed. It was illegal. It wasn't introduced into the book until 2014. So there's less of us who know how to do it proficiently and with excellence, with high skill level. You have to really go after and look for those people. And what happens when people identify, like, oh, you know what, I'm not really that great at this thing, I need to learn how to do it. They're so entitled that they think, I'll just take a Zoom class or I'll just take a couple classes and then I'll put it on my resume and then boom, I'm an expert. And that's the issue, is that they'll show up to the set and they'll say, look, I'm going to do your hair. And the actor or the actress is like, no, you're not. I can't even do my hair. I need a texture expert. I need someone who knows how to do natural hair and who has that skill set. And it's just so many nuances that makes it more complex, because the chances of you being traumatized at work on your hair are much higher for a Black person than anybody else. The chances of you having high textured hair and getting traumatized by treatment or lack of care or dismissiveness are just much higher when you're a Black person. It can happen to you by everybody and anybody. But you being a Black person with highly textured hair, you're probably going to experience discrimination about your hair type much more frequently than any other group. Yet and still, people will come to you and tell you that you have to accept them doing your hair. because of their own egos and their own entitlement. And it's just unfortunate that when you as an actor say, actually, no, I need a texture hair care expert because my hair is highly textured and I've experienced some issues in the past and I would feel safer and more comfortable with this person with this skill set. Well, now you're difficult.
Ah,
Now
okay.
you're labeled difficult. Now you're a problem. Now you're tough to work with. You have so many issues. You're a diva. You're very demanding. And you, as a texture expert, are being brought in not because they want you there all the time. Now, there are exceptions always. There are people who are very inclusive. There are people in the industry who want an entire body of their team to be efficient and they want people with strength so they can have a cohesive team. But oftentimes, there's people who just want to work with people that they're comfortable working with. And maybe none of their friends are a woman or a man of color who happens to know how to do different textures. And they're like, okay with it. And then when they have this actor that's asking for it and they have to now bring in somebody on their team, that can be a challenge. That can be problematic for them because it's like, who are you to tell me who to put on my team? They're used to having a dominant presence in this industry that's not inclusive. It's historically been that way. Now people are raising their voices and asking for what they deserve. And people with my skill set are being sought after. And I'm not going to pretend like it's always a beautiful, warm invitation. It's a lot of resistance. Like, how dare you tell me that I can't do your hair. I know how to do natural hair. Who are you? And so now I'm now coming with tension just because someone asked for me. There's tension, there's pushback. That's frustrating. Um, I've experienced it quite a bit. And I still consider myself newer to the industry in terms of film and TV. I still feel I feel more comfortable now, but I still feel like I'm on the newer side because I've only been full time in film and TV since 2021. Yeah.
So has anybody, and I understand what you're saying, but because if it's like, okay, you have to, with the actresses, you want to make sure that they look good, you want to make sure everybody is presentable, you want to make sure everybody gets what they need, but you have experience just walking into a set and it's just there's tension. It's like immediate, like they do not want you there. Like they've done everything but just flat out say, why are you here, even though we all have one common goal.
Yeah, from the very beginning, there's tension sometimes, and there's also an intention to see you fail.
And none of these people have ever asked you on the side, hey, can I have a conversation? Can we do a class? What are you doing here? Can I sit and watch? It's just, I'm not
No,
interested.
it's not one way. It's nuanced. Sometimes people are collaborative and harmonious and accepting and open minded, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's competitive and it's cutthroat and it's who does she think she is and she's only here because she's black and why does she get to have this and why is someone trying to tell me how to do my job? I know what I'm doing. Um when that's where the black tax comes in, we were talking about earlier, and that twice as good. It's like if I'm extremely good at doing natural hair, but I am a beginner in another area of hair or I'm intermediate, that's a problem. Like, I need to be exceptional in everything. And if I'm not, I will get talked about. And there will be a narrative that I can't learn, that I don't know anything, that I'm bad at something. That's what I've experienced, that you know, there isn't like always this welcoming energy around all people being in one set. You know, sometimes it is, but a lot of times, unfortunately, it's not. And that's just the truth. And it makes, I mean, it's this is a historical thing. Again, everything in the behind the scenes was white. it was like that historically for many years. We were not allowed in, just like we couldn't drink at fountains and we couldn't sit in the front of the movie theater and there were sections for us. We were not allowed in. And so once we fought and marched and died and shed blood to get into these spaces, the doors were open, but they weren't open with welcoming arms, and we're still fighting. It's not as bad as it was, but there's still a lot of work to do. There's still, you know, advocacy and thing, I do a natural hair class for um, Real Works through sponsored through Netflix, organized by Local 798, the union. And these are efforts that are being made to close the gap on these disparities that so many people try to deny exist. But the reality is we don't have as much access to these industries as other groups because we weren't expected to come here and get free. We were property. And then got our freedom, and then we had the nerve to demand to go to school, and we had the nerve to demand to open businesses and buy property. Then they created redlining, and then we had to create HBCUs because we couldn't go to their institutions. Yet and still, we're described as being lazy now that we don't work for free. I mean, there's just so many things that have happened that people try to like stop talking about it. That happened a long time ago. It's not a thing. Oh, it really is a thing. And it really infiltrated the minds of the way we exist today. So it's deep when we talk about natural hair. It's just not as simple as, oh, what's the big deal? It's just a texture. No, it's part of our identity and it's something that was used to hurt us. And that's why we have an interesting relationship with it, where sometimes we love it, sometimes we hate it. And I'm just one of the people that's here to give it the love that it deserves, teach about it, celebrate it, honor it, show it off unapologetically, and make people feel beautiful in it.
Absolutely. That is the perfect segue to 2025, the Met Gala with Regina King. I
Yeah.
saw the photos. I said, yes, ma'am, I have to talk to this woman. So, whatever you can tell us, how did y'all meet? Where did the inspiration come? Tell us what you can tell us.
Well, I've had the privilege and the honor of working with hair designer John Carter, who's phenomenally talented. And he was hired to work as the department head and hair designer for a movie called Caught Stealing, and Regina King was cast. And over the time I was working on the show, I was the one who was able to do her braids and cornrows and color for her wig prep. And I would often do her hair, at her apartment in New York because you know, it was so much it's time takes time to care for our hair, so it was just easier for us to do it on the weekends as opposed to doing it on set. It was more comfortable, and so over time, we did get to know each other a bit more. She's a lovely human. I really enjoyed I was always like my heart was, like, beating out of my chest every time I was with her because I was like, "I can't believe I'm with this phenomenal queen." But in between that, when she was coming to set, she was so down to earth, so cool, so fun to be around. She was always making us laugh. And she was always talking to me about whatever, like whether it was hair or a product or needing her braids done. And in my mind, I'm like, I want to do her hair for the Met. And I just shoot my shot one day. She was getting her makeup done. And I said, Regina, are you going to the Met? Can I do your hair? What are the chances that I could do your hair for the Met? She was like, hmm, okay. So she didn't shut me down. She was like thinking about it.
The
And so
wheels were turning.
the wheels were turning and, time went on. And at the end of the shoot, I gifted her a coffee table book, National Hollywood Special Edition. And I gave I left it in her trailer. And then she came to our trailer to say goodbye. And she was like, Jen, at first I didn't realize that that was your book because she mentioned that some of the images went viral. So she was familiar with some of the work, but she didn't make the connection right away that it was my book. And so I think that might have helped a bit in terms of her having more confidence in me because, like I said, John was the wig designer. He was the one creating all the magic and making her look beautiful. And everyone you know, it was his vision. So it wasn't like I was doing a natural hairstyle on her. I was just prepping her to go under his wigs. So she didn't really get to see my talent in that way, but I think by her seeing some of the work in the book, it built her confidence around giving me the opportunity. It's still a dream. It's like I can't believe it happened. So we kept in touch because we were communicating, just with logistics. And I reminded her, like, hey, can I still, do a presentation? And it just worked out. Like, it was me just staying like in touch with her and letting her know I was really serious, and her being gracious and loving enough to give me an opportunity and to introduce me to her team and allow me to be a part of this major production. And she was really happy with the outcome, so that was like the cherry on top. Like, and then she invited me to work with her again. So I think that's beyond, like, if you get an opportunity to work with someone like that, you're thrilled and you're over the
Yes.
roof and you're over the moon. But if they invite you back, it's like,
Because you've done a few of her hairstyles.
yeah, I did. Yep. And there's one coming up. So
So when she finally told you yes, can you describe that feeling? Did you want to scream? Did you want to run around? What was
I
that
did
feeling like?
scream.
You did.
I did. I was running around. Yes. I was still, I mean,
Were you were doing it in public or at home, or you didn't care?
I definitely was doing it at home. And
Okay.
I think there was times where I was like on the subway and out in the streets and jumping and smiling. Because I was actually working on a movie, another dream come true. I got to work with Halle Bailey, our Little
She,
Mermaid.
I was gonna say Little Mermaid. Yes.
Yes. So I was like working with her on set, which was like, what? And I was actually doing her locks for the movie, like
For the Little Mermaid.
for the movie that hasn't come out yet, but it's coming out.
Okay. Okay.
I was doing her own locks, which was such a celebration for me because I love locks. I absolutely love them. And just being able to do her own hair was like such an honor. And we hit it off. She trusted me with her hair. So I'm like working with her, but then I'm like communicating with Regina's team and Tramel Tillman's team about their hair for the Met. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is happening. Natural Hollywood is happening right now. Like this dream that I had years ago is just getting better and better and better in real life. And I was screaming. I was going crazy in my head. I was going crazy creating the looks. I was putting together mood boards. I was losing my mind. I was on the high that I was on. I don't know that I've ever come down, honestly, because obviously you can see right now I'm talking about it and I'm like,
Yes, you're so
woo!
giddy.
So yeah, it's like it's an amazing experience to grow up looking at something like the Met Gala every year. It's always been my favorite event because it's the most creative, it's the most artistic, it's the most, you know, star-studded event. And you never know what people are going to wear, and you want to see what the hair is going to be and the makeup, and you want to see all of that. I was so excited to be able to be a part of it, but it was like there were years where I just dreamed of that and wanted that. And then for it to happen, but not only happen, happen with like these brilliant artists, these brilliant performers, these talented, insanely amazing people. It was just like God was just like, yeah, I told you. I was like, okay, my faith is up. I'm up.
Okay, so she says yes, you start working with her team. Can you just give a little bit of the like before the day? Because I know the day of the Met Gala, that's a production within itself. But before that, can you just kind of talk about the process of how y'all got there and what you decided on?
Oh, okay. So I kind of got to see, actually, Regina sent me um she sent me the look, and it was like a sketch, and she sent me, which was beyond. And then she sent me a hairstyle, and I was like, okay. So I went to my good friend David Bryan Brown. I went to his studio. I always go to his studio to create because it's just like he's a legend, and he's done all these Broadway plays for many years. He's so loving and so inviting as one of the people in the industry. He's like really pours into everyone. He wants everybody to win. So I like to go there when it's time for me to create because I get like a really positive energy and I get to use his stuff. Okay. So I went to his studio to create and design her looks. But in my mind, I had this idea of like doing this like wave braided style. And so I was trying to describe it to her because I saw something on Pinterest. It was like a helmet and it had like these swirls, and it inspired me to do a look for her. But she couldn't really like see what my vision was just by what I showed her. So you know what? I just went ahead and I made both looks. And I brought both of them to the studio, to her hotel the night before so we could do a trial. And that was when she saw it. She was like, "Jen, did you do this one not as good so I could wear that one?" Like, she was
Oh,
so funny. She's like, "No, like, I really tried to pull the other one off," but she was like, "I'm going with that one." She was like, "Ain't nobody gonna have that." And we high-fived, and I styled it on her, and it just came to life, you know? I mean, that that particular the level of nerves that I felt, how I
oh, I can
handled
only
that.
imagine. I can only imagine.
I mean, even my
Regina King
mentor
said that I
David was
do
like,
terrible hair. I can only imagine.
"Ugh." I remember trying to style, like doing the look and then looking at the picture she sent me and then going and doing it all the way over again. So like this went on for days. Like the preparation went on for a long time. I mean, there was weeks of planning, but there was also months of anticipation. Like, am I going to get to do this? Is it really going to happen? And then it's like, yeah. And then it went from you're being considered to no, you're the girl. And I didn't really know when that happened. Like, it was like, wait, I'm the girl? Like, yeah, you're her person.
It's like, well, this is what you wanted.
Yes, this is what I wanted. And, you know, when it's happening, sometimes you just can't believe it. You're just so, and you don't want to fail. You don't want to mess up.
Right.
Even though failure is necessary, I didn't fail that day. I pulled it off, and both of them, Jamel and Regina, were just really happy, and I feel good about that. I feel that, you know, I proved myself. You know, I proved to myself and to others that like this is something that I can do and I can do it well. And, you know, I hope to continue to do it again and again and again.
And Tillman, because I saw him on your page as well. He was the one that had on the suit, but he had like the short, defined curls.
Yeah, he had the
He looked
coils.
very handsome. Now, was there a contract that was signed? Like, okay, this is the hairstyle. This is when you're going to arrive. This is what we're doing. Was there like a contract? Was there an outline?
There's like a call sheet that like gives
Okay.
you the schedule of what's going to happen, and you know you have to like obviously be on time and set up your arrangements to be able to do what the things are. And I was like, I will be dropping off my kit the night before so that I don't have that drama. I want everything to get there on time because there is a lot of traffic circulating with these things. So it's just like you do everything you can to set yourself up for success. And that's what I try to do.
Okay. I heard you say that you were going to drop off your kit the night before. What does that mean?
Um, Taking my stuff to the hotel that they're staying in and
Okay.
leaving it
Okay.
there so that I don't have to I'm like all packed and ready, you know, just giving myself that security of knowing that it's there and I'm not forgetting anything.
Had you upgraded your old bundle by then? You know, because when you were backstage, they were making fun of you. Did you upgrade by then?
I sure did. Okay. She's vulcanized now. I have the Hulkins. Um, I'm pulling up in style, you know. I definitely upgraded my kit since then. And you know what's lovely about working in film and TV is that there's so many times when you do these shows like New York Fashion Week and you get so many products, so many things sent to you. So I have an abundance in my kit and I'm grateful for that. But yes, the presentation was lit. If you go on my stories or you go on the page, you'll see my spread. It was quite lovely.
Okay, so we're working up to the day. Take us to the day. I know you were tired, but what are your emotions? What's going through your head?
Well, there was definitely a bit of relief because the prep day, the trial day, I knew that Regina was happy with the look. And
Okay.
so now it's about the details and
Yes.
love is in the details, you know. So I was actually like sewing her piece together in the Uber on the way there. I think also what was challenging about that day was that I had two clients.
Yes.
Um, and you know, the pros who've been doing this for years and years, that's normal to them. But for me, I had only done one other Met Gala, and it was because it was Lewis Hamilton 2 years prior, and it was because his stylist that he selected didn't get to finish the style, and she was in, I think, the UK or maybe the West Coast. So he came to New York with half his hair done, and I had to finish it. So someone I remember the gentleman called me and asked me if I was available, and I was like, "No," because I was a little upset about something, and then he was like, "Okay, hold on," and Law Roach came on the phone.
Law Roach.
Law Roach came on the phone, and he was like, "Okay, whatever you get paid, we'll double it. You coming?" "Yes, I'll be there." Mhm. So I was never prepared for that. There was no build up for that. It was like I happened to be off that day. I wasn't working. I was straight chilling and I get this call and I was like, I think something happened with the photo shoot and I was a little upset with the person that felt
Okay.
like they didn't let my hair shine. So when they, so when they asked me to come do the hair, I was like, no,
Jennifer.
I know. And I don't know what was going on with me, but like I'm very, very sensitive about my art.
Most artists are, yes.
Exactly. So I
Yes.
was in my feelings. So I was like, no. And he
Until
was
La
like,
Roche got on the phone.
Rose got on the phone and I was like, and he didn't even wait for me to say no. He was like, whatever we're paying, we'll double it. And it was like, girl, are you ready? Because we got to go. And I was like, I'm coming. I'll be right there. Okay. I'm going to write another book though, because, you know, there's some goodies. There's some
Actually,
goodies.
let's do that now. Your book. So you are the CEO of Natural Hollywood, right?
Yes.
And you have a book. Talk to us about your company and the book.
So Nashville Hollywood was founded in 2011. I had a dream about it, but the dream was like because of lack. So I'm the girl when my mom would take us to the library or Barnes and Noble, I would always go to the coffee table book section because I love the art. I love to flip the pages and see images. I love a Vogue magazine, you know, I love Essence. I just want to see what do they have in these spreads? What is the hair doing? What's the makeup? What's the clothes? What are they doing? That's my favorite thing to do. And I noticed throughout my entire life, I would have to flip so many pages before I saw a Black woman or a Black person. And I also noticed that there were in the Black uh, productions or publications, I should say, there was kind of like a, f- a place for naturals and it was like limited. It was like, if you're natural, then this is how you dress, this is how you look, and that's it. And I was like, "Ugh, that's just not true. Like, naturals are everything. We are literally every single thing. We're not just bohemian chic. We are glamorous, we are tomboys, we're ballerinas, we're basketball players. We are everything, every profession, every artistic vision should be expressed in our with our hair, and there wasn't representation of that. So that's when I came up with the concept of natural Hollywood, because I feel like every natural deserves to have her red carpet moment. Every natural deserves to feel absolutely gorgeous in her own texture. And over time, I had done this online magazine, Natural Hollywood, which is very expensive. It was like literally my third child. But I was just like, I needed a creative outlet. And even with Naturally Me, I was doing beautiful hairstyles on my clients, but it was still, they were very much involved in the process of how they wanted to look. This was my artistic outlet to do things that I had dreamed of, that I passionately wanted to express. And I was doing these photo shoots and funding everything. And I started putting it in the magazine. And I had this online magazine. I had my graphic designer, Drew Brzezinski, and other people helping me put this thing together. I had guest writers and stuff like that. And as time went on, it became harder and harder for me to financially afford to keep this thing going. But I did come across a coffee table book called Afros, and I was inspired by it. I was like, wait a minute, I have thousands of photos. I could put a book together. And I just made the decision just like that. So this online magazine turned into a coffee table book. I did a Kickstarter to help fund it. It still wasn't enough money, so I had to put it on hold. But then eventually in 2020, I self-published my first coffee table book. And I'm so proud of that, because it, to me, is a healing opportunity for for myself and also for so many other people. I've met so many women who've literally cried while flipping through the pages, just saying that they wish they had a book like that when they were growing up, and being really proud to be able to gift it to their son, daughter, nieces, nephews, little cousins. It's like now we have way more books, but at the time it was one of the only books that just celebrated our beauty in the full spectrum: shapes, sizes, complexions, and hair types. So,
And I heard you say earlier, is there going to be volume two?
absolutely. We have volume one because we always knew there was going to be a volume two. I don't know when it's going to happen, Maya Karen, but I know it's going to happen.
Okay. Law's going to have to call you again.
Oh, yes. I'm going to be like, okay, it's done. The book is done.
Okay. Okay. Let's move to film and TV. And I'm just going to go ahead and read these off and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You
Okay.
said that you started getting into film and TV when?
Officially, my first Broadway debut was in 2019. Kevin Thomas Garcia brought me on to swing on Hadestown, and that was my first Broadway gig. Prior to that, I had volunteered for something called Broadway Bears, where the actors raise money for people with HIV and AIDS. That's a voluntary opportunity. I did that with a gentleman named Ian, and then I met Kevin, and then Kevin brought me on to work on Hadestown on Broadway. And again, heart beating. Whew, get it right, get it right. Because, you come in and they teach you how to do the track, and you have to learn how to do it. But what was great about it was that there was one major wig and a few other pieces, but it was like, for someone who's just starting out, it was a really great opportunity for him to bring me on. I love him so much for bringing me to do that, because no one else was. I had done the Broadway crawl 4 times, which is dropping off your resume with all the things that I had done and all the receipts, and no one was calling me. But when Kevin gave me the opportunity, then another hair supervisor on another Broadway show brought me on, had me working with him, and it just kept multiplying. And then unfortunately, that was late in 2019, fall, winter, but then 2020 came. And in the beginning of 2020, more opportunities were coming through theater, and then the pandemic happened. But what I did was I used that time to complete my coffee table book, and I self-published in 2020. And I did whatever I could do in 2021 to celebrate the book availability, and I got a lot of support. You know, a lot of people were online. I was doing Instagram Live, remember IG Live, doing series with hair pieces and getting people excited about the coffee table book coming out finally. Because the first one I only had like maybe 50 copies. So this time I bought 1,000. I invested in 1,000. And I'm happy to say that I have sold and donated close to 600 books out of that 1,000.
Wow.
Hmm. By myself. And my website, no like publishing company. So if you're out there and you're a publishing company and you're looking for a coffee table book, volume 2 is being done right now because I definitely want the support and I want to elevate it with a publishing company because I'm not a publisher. I'm a creative, and it would be great to just focus on the core and the juice of
The
the
creative aspect.
the creative aspect and allowing a tenured company to support the publication portion of it this time around.
So if there are any publishing companies out there, y'all email me and then I'll get you in contact with Jennifer. Okay. I am going to
Exactly.
run down these shows because you have been busy. So, associate hair designer for Broadway's Paradise Square. You
Mm-hmm.
styled for HBO's Westworld, Showtime's Three Women, Netflix Next in Fashion, Apple TV's Lady in the Lake, and I believe that's Severance. All of these shows and all of these opportunities. How did
Yes.
it feel? What was the experience like behind the set?
For the most part, it was just like a dream come true. Honestly, I would be like, am I really here? It's just now become like more, I guess, where I feel more like natural on set and not as nervous. I feel more comfortable and confident in what I'm doing. It's definitely one of those jobs where you learn something every day. Every day I
Yes.
learn something. Every day I'm mentally aware that there's something I could have done better, that there's something I will do moving forward that's going to make things better for me on my job. Like it could be something as like continuity. Like don't wait to do continuity at the end of the show. Do it every day. Do it every other day. Get it done. It's just so much easier for you to be able to present that at the end when you're doing it along the way. Um, Always being connected to what's going on set. Sometimes you have to just be ready to do something that changes. Sometimes times change. Then also like punctuality, how important that is. Getting where you need to be on time, having to give myself extra time. When I was younger, it would take me an hour to get ready, like a nice hour to do it all. I had to accept that I am not a spring chicken anymore and I cannot get ready in an hour. I need an hour and a half. I know people who need 30 minutes to get ready. They take their shower, they put on their clothes, they're out the door. I'm not that girl. I need time. So just things like that I can see has changed for me, but I do feel more comfortable on set now. Don't know what the future holds, but I'm excited about the fact that I can see my growth because I had it really comfortable working as an entrepreneur, being my own boss for my entire adult life and having this bubble, this safe bubble of just doing hair in my community is very different than stepping into Hollywood and
Oh,
film and
yes.
TV and working in corporate world. And since I've only effectively been doing that now consistently for 5 years, I still consider myself new to it. And I see the difference. Like it's very different. I was always doing my own thing working in my community. And then I decided to change careers and take it to Hollywood. So it was an adjustment for me. At first, it was just like, is this really happening? Oh my goodness, I'm working with these people. This is so great. I'm a part of this production. And then it goes like this, where you're like,
Yes.
ooh, these hours are long. Okay, I am tired. Oh, I left the house when it was dark and I'm back when it's dark. And I said, I'm going to sleep and I'm going to do it again. Ooh,
For
and
six
then,
months.
it's like, this is what I prayed for. This is what I dreamed for. So there's wonderful aspects of it, but there's also challenges that come with it, as there is with everything else. And you just have to decide, like, is this still what I want to do? And I can say at this time, yes, this is still what I want to do. As long as I have my creative outlet, Natural Hollywood, a place where I can do my own thing, I'll be able to show up in Hollywood. Okay. So the tea is I got to work with Lawrence Fishburne, and I think the audience is going to be delightfully surprised at what they see.
Are we gonna
And
put
that's
a
the
pin in?
tea.
We gonna put a pin in that?
I'm gonna put a pin in that because I don't want to be fired.
Okay, Jennifer.
I still have financial goals, my Karen.
Okay. IATSE Local 798 Hair and Makeup Union.
Yes.
What is this for?
Now you're so tickled.
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
all right.
Because I'm leaving all of this in.
Y'all,
I'm going to post it after, but I'm
okay.
leaving all of this in.
Just that part.
Okay.
Just that part you have to post after. It could be a flashback Friday, throwback Thursday, TBT type of thing. Remember when? All right. Anyway. Um. so in honor of bleeping things out, let's talk about the union.
Jennifer, I'm not bleeping this out. I'm just going to wait.
Okay, fine. So what had happened was, okay, so the union is every department in film and TV is unionized, or
Okay.
almost all of the departments. And you have all kinds of departments, camera and grips, hair and makeup. So hair and makeup is local 798. And in order for you to do hair in film and TV, usually, not all the time, but most of the time, it's required for you to be a part of the union. And most of the productions in Hollywood, in film and TV, are also unionized. And it's just a way to protect people on their jobs.
Okay. And I'm glad you explained that because my next question, my follow up was going to be I want to say maybe I saw an article or something on your page or just outside of your page. Is this union working to kind of bring education about textured hair as
Hmm.
well, or is this another initiative?
No, the union itself is has an education department where
Okay.
they contribute and organize opportunities for their members to grow and to learn. And so I've had the pleasure of educating our union on natural hair care and by providing an introductory class on natural hair. And I also, in conjunction with Local 798, work with Real Works, sponsored by Netflix, to do a program where they do a reach out to the community of professional hairstylists who have worked in the industry in terms of hair and are very skilled, but just are interested in evolving and growing into film and TV. And so they create a curriculum for them that includes 12 classes, mine being one of them, where we educate them on hair for film and TV. And my class is about natural hair.
I love that. Have people been receptive to your class? It's a requirement. Like you have to do that.
I mean,
Your
I'm
class.
I'm I'm happy to do it.
No, the people. So the people in your so you're a part of a whole curriculum. Your class. Are these classes like? Is it mandated for you to be a part of the union or for you to work on set?
No, this is a separate
Okay.
program that was created to provide access to communities that don't have access to
Okay.
film, theater, and
So it's
TV.
not a requirement. Okay.
No, it's just a opportunity to kind of bridge that gap and to close that gap to allow people who are really knowledgeable and have lots of amazing skills who just don't have that accessibility. Maybe they don't have any friends in the industry or they just don't really know where to begin because I had no idea what a union was. I didn't
Right.
have that access. I was again in a bubble working with my clientele, and I'm looking at film and TV and I'm going to plays and I'm seeing that I know somebody's doing the hair, but I did not, there was a disconnect. I didn't know how to get into it. And so, what this organization and this program does, it reaches out to communities that are diverse and invites them to learn about what that looks like. you know, this is how it goes. And these are some of the skill sets that you will need, like knowing how to do natural hair, knowing how to do period hair, knowing how to block a wig. A lot of these things are not taught in cosmetology schools as well. So it's nice for them to kind of get that introduction to understand a little bit more about not just knowing how to do hair, but knowing specifically how to do hair for film and TV and what some of the terminology is. So there's 12 classes. You have to actually audition. You have to apply to get into this program,
Oh,
and you
okay.
have to be interviewed to get into this program. And we discuss based on your interview, if you should be given this opportunity, and we choose 12 students, and the 12 students get to take these 12 classes, and then they graduate.
Okay. So, Jennifer, we are coming to the end of our conversation, but I do have three questions for you.
Sure.
The first one is when it comes to natural hair, when it comes to the red carpet, who is your dream client? We already have Regina. Who is another dream client?
Lauren Hill.
Okay. Lauren Hill?
Yep.
Okay. The second question, who would you want to see? I don't care who it is, but who would you want to see flaunt their natural hair on the red carpet, even if they have not before?
Hmm. I want to see Serena Williams flaunt her natural hair again, because I remember her and her sister wearing the beads, and they got a lot of scrutiny,
They did.
from the tennis world. And I think it would be really cool to see her in some braids and beads again, um, just to remind them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. Has Regina called you for the 2026 Met Gala? Can you tell me?
No, the 2026 gala has not been discussed.
Okay. All right, Jennifer. I have had an amazing time talking to you. We are coming to the end of our conversation. Please let people know about you, Natural Hollywood. Let people know if you have anything coming up, if your company has anything coming up, and where people can follow and support you.
Oh, thank you so much, Maya Karen, for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation with you as well. It was just so much fun. My name is Jennifer Lord. I am the CEO and founder of Natural Hollywood. I would love for you to follow me on Instagram at Natural Hollywood. As far as what I have coming up, there are some productions that are underway. The one that I'm most excited about is Samo Lives, featuring Kelvin Harrison. That movie should be coming out sometime this year, if not next year, where he's playing Basquiat. That was the first movie that I was the department head of, so I'm really, really excited to see what you guys think about it. And then, of course, there's going to be a Natural Hollywood Volume 2 in the future. I don't know exactly when, but stay tuned. There's always something happening at Natural Hollywood.
Okay, so all of Jennifer's information will be down below as far and Natural Hollywood. If there is nothing else, Jennifer, I'm going to say good afternoon to you and then good afternoon to the community, and I will see everybody later. Bye.
Bye.